Greetings. My name is JC Gomez with Wellington Construction Group, and this is part two of the new norm post-COVID operations. We're going to be talking a little bit about our main concept, which is plan the work and work the plan, and what we've seen so far. But first, a little bit of background and our current situation. So, in the last recent 8 weeks, we began operating under the COVID-19 protocols established early on in March. And as a community worked towards slowing the spread, streets and businesses alike remained empty. The construction industry, however, maintained some degree of momentum with some mixed reviews in terms of how much or how long that momentum would last. However, from our perspective, in the commercial side, we did observe that many clients decided to move some capital improvement projects forward as buildings were very much empty, especially in common areas. From the maintenance perspective, we did observe a significant amount of preventive and deferred maintenance, but not so much in the responsive side because buildings were generally unoccupied and really not sustaining any kind of issues. Through the last 8 weeks, we've maintained and or adapted our protective posture and procedure. And the following presentation is going to highlight for you what we've done and what is our new normal looking like moving forward. So first, a little bit of background in terms of the crisis timeline, right? So back in mid-April, we developed our 90 and 180-day plan, and we implemented it quickly. So we were able to resupply our PPE, which was very important, and conduct company-wide training on sustained practices. Back in late April, the COVID-19 operational framework was adopted and proliferated throughout our company. That was important because that was designed to be reactive to an infection. So we were really protective at the very onset of the crisis, and we developed a framework to operate if we had an infection. We had a plan to respond to it. Fortunately, we had no consequences so far in our operational side, but we really attribute that to our significant posture in terms of safety. By early May, we added a hand washing station procedure to our projects, right? So now we have, in addition, I know there's common area restrooms in most of the places that we operate in. We do have porta potties on some sites, but we've added a hand washing station, which we feel is an important step to preventing the spread. And this procedure is very specific to our job sites, pre-entering and after leaving the job site. Not just a recommendation of constant hand washing, but specific moments in time in which we have to do that. In late May, we'll be setting up for hurricane season in post-COVID-19 environment. We're not very clear exactly how that's going to look, but we are definitely working on that as we foresee that's going to be an issue if we have a significant hurricane season. And then in June, we do normally have our safety and annual training meeting. This year is going to include COVID-19 type of or crisis management in terms of our safety management. What is important is that we understand the procedures must support safe operations in a threatening environment, such as the one that we're operating in today. So what do we attribute our success so far to? Well, we believe, and we have always said, it's the impact that leadership makes. Leadership is expressed in many different ways throughout different organizations, but we always believe that seeing is believing. So I'm going to show you just a couple of pictures just to kind of illustrate what we've done. But the biggest thing that I'll say is that leaders should act and constantly talk about what they want the norm to be. So in our particular business and industry, PPE has been the mainstay of our protocol and procedures to follow in a very strict manner. Leaders create norms and set examples to ensure that your team responds in a particular way. One of the ways that we've established ourselves is through task and purpose, all right? And we had a bunch of tasks and purposes that we threw out for the different cues on the first part of this presentation. But this time what we're going to talk about is what we've seen already work. And we're not going to focus on the long term, but on the midterm, things that we've seen already take place within our structure. So the first key task in a general sense is rapid and deliberate response. That kept our company operational during crisis. There were very heavy crises at the beginning where there was lots of unknowns and we really weren't sure what the future would offer. And we're not clear on the future exactly today still. However, we have a plan to be responsive to the changes in the environment. So that adaptive nature really has helped us remain operational in crisis. A formal COVID-19 protocol really is important to establish safe working environments. So not only is it preventive in nature, but it's also responsive in that if you do have an infection, which of course is likely, it's a possibility rather, you have to have a way to respond to that. And that way should be the one that protects the most amount of people and decreases decreases the spread the most significantly manner possible. And then the long-term vision and plan. We cannot remain stuck forever. So we have to figure out a way to perform and prepare for the reopening of the economy. We anticipate that there will be work, and we have to be able to perform that work in a safe manner so that our folks and our clients are not affected in a negative manner because of our failure to act. The next thing we'd like to talk about is the resources and how important were official channels of communication for our ability to contain our people's anxiety level in order to perform procedures that were effective and to prevent chaos from ensuing within our organization. Well, the first thing is that we limited our channels of communications internally to one channel of communication, one single voice with our leadership. So we'd meet on the executive teams, we talk with our leadership throughout the field, and then present one common voice. And that common voice really was about our procedures and our protocols so that everyone was following the same exact procedures and we all looked the same. That was very, very key. We also did not allow for the rumor mill to proliferate. So our social media internally and our chats, those type of breakouts, we were just not allowing for unvetted information to proliferate into those channels. Obviously, we can't control what people do outside of our internal messaging. However, within our internal messaging, we're just not allowing for that sort of thing. And lastly, of course, the key thing was training, training folks on proper use of PPE and constantly reiterating the messages of how to remain safe was one of the mainstays of how we were able to proliferate information that kept our people safe. I think that for the most part, we really feel that we had lots of support from a number of perspectives. In closing this presentation, if you're able to see what we were able to do to keep our people safe and keep operational, there's a couple of nexuses in terms of who we need to thank, right? First of all, our client base. Our client base kept us working. So there was areas where maybe some folks could have made decisions to just stop things altogether, but their leadership and foresight allowed for some projects to move forward within the constraints of municipalities and inspections, of course. However, moving forward was key, and that allowed us to keep our people working. Our vendors that changed their own procedures in order to keep their people safe yet operational, to provide supply chain and early information to allow us to understand where the constraints would be, not just during crisis, but 6 months from now. So we have a really good understanding of where our supply channels are going to have some sufferment because of the crisis, and where we can talk to our clients about where we may experience some delays because of that supply chain. That understanding that we have gained is a direct result of good relationships with our vendors and communications that they were willing to share with us. The community for supporting the staff that's coming out to work on a daily basis. These families are making sacrifices as the family members that are going out to work are taking risk to be out in this environment. Although we're doing it as safe as possible, the risk is still present, and we acknowledge that. And one special thank you I'd like to put out there is to FIU School of Business, particularly Yanin Sanduis, for some of the back and forth dialogue that we've been able to have, and some of the recommendations you've made to our organization for even publishing some of these items. Thanks, Yanin. I think that this was a really great platform and a time to share how we operate. And that's why I wore my FIU shirt, just to give you a little bit of a shout out. And we really appreciate it. I'd like to close with just the image that I have on the screen right now, and I'm going to kind of highlight it here. This is a rendering by John Wellington Gomez. He's at the School of Architecture at the University of Florida. He's the only team member that he's our intern, right? He comes in, works when he's not in school. He's the only team member that we have in a very, very remote location. Hey, John, we're looking forward to getting you back here soon, and good luck on your travels. To everyone else listening to this quick message, thank you very much. We hope that you're staying safe. If anything that we are putting out there is helping your organization, then we are glad to do so. If you want more information about how we are operating or what we can do for you, please visit us at wcgmiami.com. All of our procedures are published out there. We're open and transparent about what we're doing, and we look forward to hearing from you real soon. Take care and have a great day.